Hello, guys. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show, the LGBTQ channel that discusses LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ approach in an LGBTQ plus planet. And with the humanistic approach, of course, we said everyone is a human being. The first thing you need to know, we are all humans. And of course, the general rule has an exception in the sense that there are some who are more human than others, but we are generally all human. And today we want to do a discussion that really is going to be very interesting because many people have questions about it. And we have sometimes people do not understand the sexuality. Sexuality is a very, very complex topic to share, and many people really don't understand it, even though they engage in it. Look at animals. They cannot explain to you why they're having sex, but they have sex, and that's the same with human beings. Some people, we all have sex, or we all can have sex. Not everybody has sex. There are some people who don't have sex, and they should be allowed to be like that. That's what, as long as that's what they want, and they're sexuals. But we all can have sex, or most of us can have sex, and what he says by that is you have to understand that since we can all have sex, it doesn't mean we know about sex. You see, there's knowledge, what is happening, the body parts that are involved. Most people, when you ask them, do you know what's happening, they don't even want to know. So this channel is for those who want to know and understand sexuality and homosexuality and heterosexuality and sexual diversity, which you have to understand we are all born that way. Whether you're heterosexual, you're born a heterosexual, you're born a homosexual, you're born queer, bisexual, transgender, all of these, we are all born that way. And science, we're going to use science. So today is our Google searches. So we are going to do, it's a Rex Arthur's Google searches. And we're going to be searching different people. Now, what is heterosexuality? Let's go to our famous Wikipedia, but we won't last here for long because there are more things to do. So heterosexuality is romantic attraction, sexual attraction or sexual behavior between persons of the opposite sex or gender. As a sexual orientation, it is an enduring pattern of emotional, romantic, and or sexual attractions to persons of the opposite sex. It also refers to a person's sense of identity based on those attractions, related behaviors, and membership in a community. And then it says, very important line here, heterosexuality is one of the three main categories of sexual orientation within the heterosexual homosexual continuum. And someone who is heterosexual is referred to as straight. The term heterosexuality is usually applied to humans, but heterosexual behavior is observed in all mammals and in other animals. Now, so what is heterosexuality? Wikipedia is telling us it is romantic attraction, sexual attraction, or sexual behavior between persons of the opposite sex or gender. Now, that is what it is. It is not reproduction. Some people make a mistake and call heterosexuality that it is reproduction. No, that's not reproduction. Heterosexuality is not reproduction. Heterosexuality is romantic attraction or sexual attraction, connection to somebody sexually that is of a different sex or gender. So it's nothing to do with reproduction. You can reproduce without sex. It is, so that's what we needed to clear up. The first thing involved in sex is attraction. It's not reproduction, because you can have sex and not reproduce. This is why homosexuality should be allowed in societies that disagree with it, because it is a sex that doesn't lead to reproduction, but it's still sex. And even infertile couples, they can have sex but not reproduce. And even fertile couples can have sex and still not reproduce. So heterosexuality is not reproduction. That's a very important thing we need to state, because many people confuse it with that. They assume that you have to have sex, heterosexual sex, to get a child, and that's not the case. You can even use IVF, like Michelle Obama was giving the story of her life in her book, in her memoirs. And she said she had her children through IVF because she had a miscarriage. And it's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, doing IVF. I mean, it doesn't mean both of you are infertile. Yes, even a fertile person can use IVF. So we agree. I mean, Michelle Obama was right to do that. It was her choice, and she also chose with her husband Barack Obama. So it's not a problem. So we just wanted to state that, because most of the times when I discuss with people, they tell me, we don't like homosexuals because they can't reproduce. And I tell them, hey guys, sex is not about reproduction. It's primarily about romantic connection, love connection. Guess what? Even rapists have sex. It's forced sex. Because what happens in sex is, especially, in fact, let's look at the definition of sex. Now, sex has so many definitions. It's where organisms are specialized into male and female varieties. And the XYY, XY, XX, which we're also going to look at. Look at the other animals. They have different systems. You see birds, ZW, and XO system in insects. That's very interesting. We're going to study that one. That's XO, and it's similar to Tana. So you see, the definition of sex here is not what we know, the usual meaning. And this is sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction only happens in heterosexuality, unless you have a trans woman who has a uterus, and that's what you will call mixed sexual reproduction. Or it will still be sexual reproduction because you've had sex with a trans woman who has a womb. They've transplanted a womb in her, and you, of course, it depends. If the trans woman is able to menstruate, then you can have sex with the trans woman. But still, trans women who give birth are not considered sexual reproduction, because they may not produce eggs. So what you do is you still do IVF, but the trans woman will give birth. And that's what's happening. We'll be looking at all of that in a jiffy. But these guys Wikipedia have decided not to bring out the meaning of sex we were looking for. Okay, here it is, sexual intercourse. That's what I was looking for. So sexual intercourse, or coitus, or copulation, is principally, I love that, the insertion and thrusting of the penis, usually when erect. Congratulations, Wikipedia, for clearing it up, into the vagina for sexual pleasure, reproduction, or both. Now, we have caught Wikipedia, but they are primarily vaginal, and that's not, I would have defined it as, it is principally the insertion and thrusting of the penis, usually when erect, into an orifice for sexual pleasure or reproduction, or both. But they have called it, and that's what they've said, they have called it vaginal sex or vaginal intercourse. Now, other forms of penetrative sexual intercourse include anal sex, penetration of the anus by the penis; oral sex, penetration of the mouth by the penis or oral penetration of the female genitalia; fingering, and use of a dildo. Now, I mean that's their definition, but personally, I would have put it, instead of vagina, I would have put an orifice to kind of equalize all this other sexual, uh, because coitus happens with gay people, unless they are trying to say that coitus must include reproduction, but which is wrong. It cannot just include reproduction. So I would have said it's the thrusting of the penis into an orifice for sexual pleasure, reproduction, or both. And that's what I would have said. Good. Now, we have gone. So this heterosexuality we've mentioned, and there they are showing us the sex happening, and then also this while. Now that's the problem that we're having these days with defining sex. There is now what you call non-penetrative sex. Yes, non-penetrative sex. So if there is non-penetrative sex as they're written here, then what is this? So sexual intercourse is that's the definition they're giving is a bit clashing with non-penetrative sex, because what is non-penetrative sex? If sexual intercourse is penetrating an orifice, so what is non-penetrative sex? Is it sex? It is sex, because that's what I'm saying. There's a problem we're having these days, and we're still solving it all over the world. Even I was just seeing one very good program, or I was watching on CNN, and they were discussing about nationalism and patriotism. And the president of France, they were discussing the president of France's speech on Armistice Day, that was yesterday. And he said nationalism is not the same as patriotism. And he said it in front of Trump. So I think he was trying to tell Trump that, hey, I think you meant to be a patriot, not a nationalist. But many people, there's a lot of arguments about this. And what we need to know, as I said in the other video, now, queering theology, queering science, that I said in that video that all human systems have errors. So that includes language. Language is a human system. It has errors. So don't take language to be perfect. You see, it is not perfect. It is imperfect. There are some concepts and some words that language cannot explain. Like nationalism. What's the difference between nationalism and patriotism? Devotion to the country of one's. Like I define patriotism as the devotion and affection to the country of your father. So patriotism is fatherland. And nationalism, it doesn't necessarily come from somebody whose father was born in that country. It could come from the fact that you have been naturalized in the country, like what you have in America. People have been naturalized in the country, and others have been, they've got married to Americans, and so they are Americans. So and nationalism is still devotion to the country of citizenship, I would say that. But patriotism is more love to the fatherland, where your father was born, because the patri comes from the word father. And it's weird, I don't know why they do there's no, maybe I think matriarch is because mothers tend not to come from the same line of the father. It depends. Many cultures can allow mixture, and some cultures don't allow mixtures. Anyway, but basically I've said that there is a problem here between non-penetrative sex and penetrative sex, because then it would, if non-penetrative sex exists, then it would mean sexual intercourse does not really have to involve insertion and thrusting of the penis Like what happens? Anyway, they have already explained the different types of fingering, because when lesbians have sex together, are they really having sex? According to this definition, if it stops there, no, they are not having sex, because you need to have a penis and a vagina. That's why I'm saying they would even change the word and not say penis. I would define it as the thrusting of an object. Yes, an object, usually when erect, an erect object, into an orifice for sexual pleasure or reproduction or both, depending on what type of sex. So I don't define it that way. Okay, enough of English. We can argue forever. So we have already seen that is heterosexuality. Now let's go to homosexuality. Now, homosexuality is defined as a romantic attraction, sexual attraction, or sexual behavior between members of the same sex or gender. And a sexual orientation, homosexuality, is an enduring pattern of emotional, romantic, or sexual attractions to the people of the same sex. So scientists do not know what determines an individual's sexual orientation. Now get that. That's a very important thing. Scientists still do not know what determines an individual's sexual orientation. Very powerful statement. But they theorize that it's caused by a complex interplay of genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences, and do not view it as a choice. Congratulations, scientists. There is no choice that somebody makes to have a sexual orientation. It's not a choice. It is who you are. And that's why homosexuals are born, heterosexuals are born, transgenders are born, non-binaries are born, and every sexual identity is born. Even asexuals are born. So, and another thing you need to understand philosophically, genetic, so there's a complex interplay of genetic, those are the genes, the acids, and the hormones, also chemicals, and environmental influences. Now, when the child is born, even before the child is born, environmental influences are affected when the parent drinks something funny, or takes something, or intoxicates themselves. That eating by the mother can affect the child's sexuality when he's born. So, and then when the child is born, he's born into a new environment. Remember, he was in another environment called the womb. He was hidden from the world. And then when he's born out in the environment, he becomes, or she becomes, or they become, they are still growing. So when they're still growing, the environment affects the growth, and some environment comes and shapes the sexual orientation of the person. Like if somebody has a brother, an older brother, or an older sister, that having of that sibling can affect the sexuality of that person. That's what you should understand. And so basically, human beings, we are always, and I've come to learn about life. We are that's why we are living beings, because things are happening in our body. Even right now, as I'm speaking, something is happening in my body. Something is happening. Either something is dying, something is being regenerated, something is going on. So that's how complex the human body is. And some of these changes can be so drastic, they can affect you in a big way. And we are always ingesting chemicals. I mean, eating food. I mean, breathing air. I mean, just walking. You're eating. You're always eating. You're always connecting. You're always having sex. Not just physical sex. I'm now talking philosophically. You go and breathe in the air, and that's sex because the air is entering you. It's like you're being penetrated by oxygen, by the gases, and then your body removes carbon dioxide but keeps the oxygen. That is still, it's a form of sex because you're receiving. We are bottoms. Yes, we are. We are receivers in this world. And whenever you walk outside, you change the environment. You're always receiving and releasing. So meaning we are versatile. We are all sexually versatile in the terms of eating is a form of sex. You're consuming, you're receiving. It's so beautiful. It's philosophical, but has truth. So basically, the scientists have done well to say they do not know. There's no law. They have no law. They just have theories that so in short, nobody knows about sexual orientation. So the best person to talk about sexual orientation is the person who knows himself. That's why outing is good. To out yourself by your own choice is the perfect thing to do, because that's what you feel. That's who you are. So you tell somebody, I'm a homosexual. Somebody should listen to you for saying that because that's what you feel. And then somebody says, I want to be a woman, and he was born male. Somebody should listen to that person because he's really saying something. That's what he feels. Especially when it comes to sexuality, nobody can, in my view, very few people can lie on sexuality. Reason being, it is what makes you happy. It's the highest form. It releases dopamine in your brain. So why would you lie about something that makes you happy? You see? That's why people should not they should not exude homophobia. Yes, you harm some people when you become homophobic or transphobic because it has nothing to do with you. It is them. You see, that's why scientists really cannot tell you that this person is gay. They don't know. Why? Because it's a complex interplay of genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences. Sometimes you can look at someone who looks straight, very straight. He looks straight in your eyes, and you'll find that he's actually homosexual or a bisexual. And you'll say, what? No, the guy he looks as straight as a pin. And you'll be shocked. He's actually gay. Yes. And then others look gay, and then you say, wow, I've got a guy. Or for lesbians, I've got a chick. I'm gonna screw her. And then next thing you find out, she's not a lesbian, or he's not a homosexual. He's just a straight person. So that's what happens. That's why sometimes I don't blame people when they get attracted to, like if you're homosexual, you're attracted to men. So you'll have very many varieties and choices of people to be with. So you just pick anybody, any male you see around, you like them. But it doesn't mean those males are homosexuals. Yes, is that you're attracted to them because you have, as it says here, a romantic attraction or sexual attraction between members of the same sex. And again, what I like about this, it is saying between. So homosexuality and heterosexuality must be between people of the same sex. It should be between people of the same sex or gender. Yes, meaning there should be another person who says, I'm also homosexual and I'm attracted to you and I will join you. I will join with you. So it's a sexual attraction. And many times you can see somebody and say, wow, he's gorgeous. He has nice muscles and what? Let me talk to him. Then you talk to him. And then he talks to you and tells you, okay, all right, but I really don't like you that much. I don't really feel you. So there, you won't do any sex with that person. But these days we now have virtual sex. You can have sex just by watching pornography. Yes. It's virtual sex. You see, you can look at it and it gives you, you jack off, you know, you masturbate. And so that would be, that's what I'm saying. A lot of definitions are really going through revisits and revision because of the fact that we don't need to have sex. You don't need to have sex with another person. These days, with virtual sex, you can have sex freely. I mean, without even another person around. But basically, the important thing about sexuality is not, what we're getting is romantic attraction. There has to be attraction between members. Yes, that's attraction. And attraction could be like a guy looking handsome, pretty, then sexual, you know, hey, this guy turns me on, I want to be with him, I like his body. Or if it's for a lady, I like her body. Or if it is for a lesbian looking for her femme, she will also say the same thing as a straight man, you know. Remember what we did? We said erotica. The male, when you love the male body, a woman can love a man's body just as much as a man can love a man's body. So that is a fact. And a man can love a woman's body just like a woman can love a woman's body. And then others can love a man's and a woman's body just as much as a woman can love a man and a woman's body. And then there's some people who really don't love bodies. So they're sexual. So they're there. There are very many. All right, good. We've discussed homosexuality. We don't want to talk so much because we want to go to the main differences. So basically, study all of these. And this is homosexual behavior in other animals. Yes. Let's look at the animals that are homosexual. And here they are. Activity, primates to gutworms. Can you imagine? Even worms are homosexuals. Now, I was arguing with somebody who was telling me that, you know, don't be reading Wikipedia and all of these things. They will be lying to you about homosexuality. And I said, no, that cannot be true. And because the beauty of Wikipedia, the highest beauty of Wikipedia is the footnote. Because when you read the footnote, it is evidence. Footnote means evidence. Now we're going to look at this footnote, but I've seen a very beautiful comment here. The animal kingdom does it with much greater sexual diversity, including homosexual, bisexual, and non-reproductive sex, than the scientific community at large have previously been willing to accept. You see? And guess what? I would tell Bagmel, humans are higher animals. So basically, we are sexually diverse, and we're going to see it. It's even in science. And good. But I want us to see what I'm talking about, footnotes. So you see, Bagamil was the one who did the research, and he saw primates and gutworms. Imagine 500 species have homosexuality. Now look at the beauty of Wikipedia. This is not even found in other places. Citation, Bagamil, 1999. There you are. It gives you a bibliography of the books. You see his book is there? Biological Exuberance, Animal Homosexuality, and Natural Diversity. Look at that book. It's there, staring at you. So, what am I trying to say? For those of you who doubt these articles on Wikipedia, here is the evidence. If you have a problem understanding the article, please go and look for Bruce's book and read it, and then you will understand what he's saying. So that's the beauty of Wikipedia. The beauty. I mean, many people write articles in the world, but you don't have to write footnotes. That's the ancient way of writing. The ancient way of writing, there were no footnotes. That's why you should never confuse the Bible. Never use the Bible to understand sexuality. Yes, don't use it because it has no footnotes. Yes, it's not a scientific book. As I keep on telling you, the Bible, Quran, they are historical books. They are pseudo-scientific books. They don't have to have footnotes. And most articles people write in the world, bloggers, they don't have footnotes. Most of their articles. So they are writing, it's pseudo science. It's just his thoughts and opinions. And you don't have to take them very seriously. You know, you take them with a pinch of salt, or you judge them according to, if you find, because if you read an article and you find that it makes sense to you, it means you resonate with that person. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, because it's not backed up with any evidence. You don't see a footnote, you don't see a statement from a writer. Basically, you don't see a footnote. But when you see work, it's very serious work that has been put there. So I congratulate Wikipedia forever and ever for their concept. Even I think even some encyclopedias, okay, they can give you the sources, but they don't footnote the paragraphs where they're writing. If you see a normal encyclopedia like Britannica and the others, what's the other, Encarta, all of those encyclopedias, some of them don't have footnotes. They'll have a bibliography. But this one is heaven. It's perfect. Anybody who's reading. All right. So that's homosexuality. Now let's go to the meat of the video, and we want to look at the different sexual diversities scientifically. So we're going to look at the first one. Of course, we know we have XX, which is a woman. Genetically, that is a woman. And XY, genetically, that is a man. The Y chromosome comes from the man. And the Y and X chromosome comes from the man, but the woman only gives X chromosomes because the egg is an X chromosome, meaning it's a feminine function to produce an egg. And the male is the one who actually can choose which sex is going to come out of the zygote. The child will be born from it. But the woman will forever carry an X. But strange enough, it's a very beautiful science. The children carry the mother's mitochondria. That's the beautiful part of the science. Every cell in the body has mitochondria. It's what boosts its life. So the woman carries the mitochondria, and she passes it down to both boys and girls. But the man decides his sperm can give an X or a Y, meaning he can give a boy or a girl, or even both, fraternal. And now that's why we're going to discuss this sexuality, but in a different way. Now, the first one we're going to do, let's deal with the females, let's do with the females first. And we have XO, Beyonce already sang it. Okay, XO, sex chromosome. Oh, I think why Beyonce sang it, there's a game we used to play called XO. And that could be the reason why Beyonce did it. And it's called the Turner syndrome. So let's look at it. Turner syndrome, XO, is a condition in which a female is partly or completely missing an X chromosome. So let's get this. Number one, the first type of female is XX. Number two, the second type of female is XO, meaning she's missing an X chromosome. And these are the signs that show you a woman like that. She has a webbed neck, low set ears, low hairline at the back of the neck, short stature, swollen hands, and feet are seen at birth. And they develop menstrual periods and breasts only with hormone treatment and are unable to have children without reproductive technology. Heart defects, diabetes, and low thyroid hormone occur more frequently. Most people with TS have normal intelligence. Many have troubles with spatial visualization that may be needed for mathematics. Vision and hearing problems often occur. So you can see the power of the sex chromosomes. It can affect your health. It can affect your body. Live. That's why we just say diversity is the principle. Good. So there's that girl. She has Turner syndrome. And you can see the webbed neck. And a short stature. And those are the causes. And it's not usually inherited from a person's parents. No environmental risks are known, and the mother's age doesn't play a role. TS is due to a chromosomal abnormality in which all part of the X chromosome is missing or altered. So what does this tell you? It's not inherited, but in the process of developing the person in the womb, the human, the part of one of the X, just something happens to the X chromosomes. One of them is altered or it just goes missing. As I told you, error is part of human nature, and therefore error is also a natural tendency. Yes, natural. Even nature makes mistakes. Yes, even nature makes. Of course, am I saying this XO? And these days we have stopped saying people are mistakes, people are accidents. Of course, people say that when they find their children are weird, but it's just diversity. It's just that something today's Monday will never look like next week's Monday. Tomorrow's Tuesday will never look like any other Tuesday in the world. It's a fact. Absolutely. Every day in the world has been unique from the beginning of the world till now. And as we go on, every day will be different. It's a fact. And that is what happens to human beings. So it's not really error, it's just diversity. And this diversity can happen in rare cases. And no cure on a syndrome. Now, this estrogen replacement can promote development of the breasts and hips. Are you seeing? These ladies do not have normal breasts. They don't have normal hips, or the ones that most women have. So what do? Give them estrogen to develop the hips and breasts. Now, this is what I wanted to read. Most important. Turner syndrome occurs in between 1 in 2,000 and 1 in 5,000 females at birth. So, this is very important. What does it mean? That if it is 1 in 5,000, it is 10 in 50,000, it is 100 in 500,000, it is 1,000 in 5 million, it is 10,000 in 50 million, and 100,000 in 500 million, and 1 million in 5 million. Count. So basically, I was just trying to show you the rarity of the condition. 1 in 2,000. That's very rare, and look at that gap. But so it tells you there's a about approximately over 1 million people, women, females have TS, and that's life. Good. We've already seen the rest. Let's go to the next one. XXX. Remember, we're looking at females now first. There you are. If you need porn, you could go and visit xxx.com. Very interesting world. Triple X syndrome. Wikipedia is giving it to us. And this is called trisomy X. Oops. Oh, I thought I did some dangerous move there. It's characterized by the presence of an extra X chromosome in each cell of a female. Now, guess what? Guess what? The first one, Turner syndrome, there is a missing X chromosome or it's altered. But here, it's an addition of an X chromosome. And the weird thing, what if you add an extra X chromosome and it is altered and it is a TS? So you can imagine what type of female that person will be. She has an extra X, but so she TS and S. So they're taller than average. Usually there are no physical differences. They have ability. Look at that. Occasionally they have learning difficulties, decreased muscle tone, seizures, or kidney problems. So this is a science that has shown us that there are some people like that. Yes, you can see this girl. She has trisomy X. Medical genetics, of course, we've already discussed that. And it occurs, treatment may include speech therapy, physical therapy, and counseling. It occurs in about 1 in every 1,000 female births. So here, it's 1 in 1,000. So remember, we were doing that mathematics. So if it is 1 in 1,000, then it is 10 in 10,000, and then it's 100 in 100,000, and then it's 1,000 in 1,000,000, and then it's 10,000 in 10,000,000, and it's 100,000 in 100,000,000, and it is 1,000,000 in 1,000,000,000 people. And then if we are in the world of 10 billion people, it will be 10 million females that have triple X or trisomy X or XXX, and they'll be taller than average. So there are women who are like that, and they have their issues, and that's their life. They are sexually diverse chromosomally. All right. Now we go to the last women group, female group, XXX. Let's okay, Australia is here selling some beer. Okay. You know, sometimes when you write those things like that, you end up chromosome. Yep. XXX, there you are. Tetrasomy X. A quadruple X is an extremely rare. Extremely, are you saying that? Extremely rare chromosomal disorder caused by the presence of 4 chromosomes instead of 2 X chromosomes. It only occurs in women, females rather. I like that. We don't have women, some women, trans women, whatever. We'll talk about that later. The condition occurs only in females, and there are no Y chromosomes present. Tetrasomy X was first described in 1961, and since then, approximately 100 cases have been reported worldwide. Approximately 60 affected females have been described in the medical literature. So, is how many women who have this? Only 100. Imagine 100 in a world of 7 billion people. So you can see. In a world of 7 billion. So what are the symptoms? Physically, they have distinctive facial features, epicanthal folds, flat nasal bridges, upslanting palpebral fissures, mid-face hypoplasia, and small mouths and cleft or high-hacked palates, or delayed or absent teeth, or enamel defects. And they are longer and taller. Very interesting. And about 50% of the patients no puberty. Are you saying there are humans who don't have puberty? And puberty without secondary Now, they may have abnormal vision, hearing, circulatory systems, kidneys, or nervous systems. And they can have myopia, colomboma, an optic nerve hypoplasia, and hearing also could be affected. Let's see the causes. It arises from a defect in meiosis. So you see, there are processes. Everybody, even in our body right now, as I told you, our body is going through processing. So even diseases right now in your body, they are being processed. It's a defect in the body. And so it's an interaction of chemicals and it's just even a disease, in my view. That's why we take medicine. Medicines are chemicals to treat a chemical problem in the body. That's all. So you have chemicals in the body, they are interacting, the interaction is interrupted with, and so you take another chemical to neutralize or to destroy a chemical that is causing the defect in that body. Good. So there we are. We finished the female kind, and the females XX, XXX, XXXX, and the fourth one XO. So as long as you're a female, chromosomally, you belong, sexually chromosomally, you belong to either of those four categories. But majority of women belong to XX. So these are minorities. The others, the triple X and quadruple X, and the rest. Now, let's go to men. Now for men, this is XXY. Less body, half air, breast enlargement. That one is showing us who they are. And it's the Klinefelter syndrome. And here's a set of symptoms that result from 2 or more X chromosomes in males. The primary features are infertility and small testicles. Often symptoms may be subtle and many people do not realize they are affected. Sometimes the symptoms are prominent and may include weaker muscles, greater height, poor coordination, less body hair, and breast growth, and less interest in sex. Interesting. So they're mostly asexual. And often at puberty, these symptoms are noticed. And intelligence is usually normal. However, reading difficulties and problems with speech are more common. And symptoms are typically more severe if 3 or more X chromosomes are present. X, Y, X, 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 Y. There you are. So you can find, are you seeing how many people have, okay, not many people, but there is sexual diversity. And it is usually occurs random, and an older mother may have a slightly increased risk of a child with KS and blah, blah, blah. So you can come and read this. So I wanted this is what I like reading. It's occurring in 1 to 2 per 1,000 live male births. And that's still a rarity. So 10 continent in a world of 7 billion people have KS men. So they are there. And they have that syndrome. Okay, let's go to the next one. Men, XYY, sex chromosome. Okay, are you responding, Houston? Houston, Texas. All right, Houston has responded. Okay. XYY syndrome is a genetic condition in which a male has an X or Y chromosome. Symptoms are usually few. They may include problems The normal, including normal fertility. Now, this condition is generally not inherited from a person's parents, but occurs as a result of a random event during sperm cell development. Diagnosis is by chromosomal analysis. So, are you seeing the beauty of sexual diversity? That some people are sexually diverse because of the connection, the fertility process. Others are sexually diverse because of the sperm cell development. Others are sexually diverse because of the alteration of either chromosome during meiosis, when the fetus is growing, it's forming. So it's beautiful. This is a very beautiful movie we watched, and I'm going to talk about what we did. We had a very wonderful week at the German Institute in Nairobi watching movies. It was an Out Film Festival. And we saw a film documentary of intersex people. And I was amazed how intersexuality is so diverse. Some people have small testicles. Somebody can have a penis without testicles. Somebody can have a vagina and a half-grown penis. My goodness. And I just said to myself, this is beautiful. People have different intersexual characteristics and features. And he just said, wow. And what I liked about it, some of them are gay, some of them are straight, some of them are bisexual. So you must understand sexual orientation is basically natural. As we've said, it's complicated because it also includes these features that people have. And then you have hormonal issue. And then you also have the environmental circumstances. All of these mix together, and these are the things that make and define our sexualities. Good. So this is what happens, and we've seen the men who have it, and it's not inherited from the parent, but it is because of sperm cell development. So that's, and no wonder it's a Y. So it has to be something to do with the sperms. All right. Now let's go back. We've seen the types of men. The males, they have X. We have men who are XXY, and we have men who are XYY. Now let's come to XXXY, sex chromosome. Okay, still our friend who is there. Yep. Okay. So it has led us back here because I saw one of them here, and I wanted to. Yes, this is the one I was looking for. The XXY syndrome is a genetic disorder characterized by sex chromosome aneuploidy, where males have 2 extra X chromosomes, and males typically having only 2 sex chromosomes. Of course, they only have that. And the presence of 1 Y chromosome is a functioning SRY gene, causes expression of genes that determine maleness. You see the power of the Y chromosome? It's what makes somebody male. And X, of course, we have already said that. And so the XXY syndrome is often referred to as 48 or XXY. They are a different variety of symptoms associated with this syndrome, including cognitive and behavioral problems, taurodontism, and infertility. The syndrome is usually inherited via a new mutation in one of the parents' gametes as those affected. I love that statement. New mutation. Every day, new things are happening in the body, in the humanity. Every day, nature. New things are happening. And these new things bring new creations. So just know that there's going to be a new mutation of people. We are always evolving. So this is the causes. Already we've seen symptoms. they have in so that the individual results in that individual, and then you have the hypogonadotropic or the hypogonadism is a condition in which the function of the testis in the males is reduced and can result in low levels of sex steroids produced like testosterone. So you see some people who have this, some of them will have skin folds upon the upper lid and hooded eyelids, others physical features. They have a pinkish, the fifth finger, or pinkish to be bent inwards. The fourth finger, short nail beds, flat feet, double jointedness, and prominent elbows with cubitus varus, and where the arms rest close to the body. And then you can have a micropenis is also a common symptom. What is a micropenis? Is an unusually small penis. There you are. You see? This is what happens to some people in the world. They are like that. And look at how this micropenis occurs in about 0.6% of males. That is serious rarity. That's why I had to hit it. I had to look at it because it was it sounds very rare. And then you have intersex. So basically, we've seen the men and women, and they all have they are sexually chromosomally different. Now, what you have to understand as we finish the video, today we were focusing primarily on the science of sexual diversity. And you have seen that people have sexual differences. And remember we said in the Rex Arthur Center we will be having a floor that will be a library. And you'll have many books talking about this sexual diversity. And that's why we're doing it. Every video we're doing on Rex Arthur will have its library written. Rex Arthur's show will archive all of our work there so that people can look at it and see what we used to do. You know, in the year 2200, people will look back and say, oh my, these guys, they were weird. This Rex Arthur was a funny guy. I mean, what was he talking about those years? And it's beautiful. And to know that in 500 years, people are going to know what you did. That's why we call it documenting. You know, you need to document what you do. We are documenting when we make these videos. And we are teaching those who may not know. All right, good. So we have done with micropenis. We are done with as we said, with the males. They are XY males. They are XXY males. They are XXXY males. And they are XYY males. Now, what does that mean? Not all males are the same. Same to females. Not all females are the same. And what about sexual attraction? Not all sexual attractions are the same. Some people are heterosexual, some people are homosexual, some people are bisexual, and some people are transgender, and some people are asexual. Actually, there are some, and there are others who are queer, and they are pansexuals. So that's why we've now added in our broadcast that it's an LGBTQ plus planet. I mean, when you see a human, some humans are lesbians, some are gay, some are bisexuals, some are transgender, some are queer, some are questioning, some are intersex, some are asexual, some are allies, and some are pansexual. So people say, where are the straight people? They're in the allies. Yes, they are in the allies. A person who is straight should be an ally. He should not be a homophobe. Homophobia is based on ignorance. It is not a natural condition. It's, of course, people naturalize it because they don't understand it. So maybe let me not call it a natural condition, because sometimes fear is natural. You know, the amygdala in the brain, it's a place where we get fear. So if homophobia is fear, it's because naturally people tend to be They fear things they don't understand. They don't understand. That's why when you tell somebody, I'm a homosexual, they're like, oh my God, what are you? What are you? And I mean, till today, there are countries that are still banning homosexuality. Of course, we'll talk about this when we're discussing legal frameworks and how people live with people, in the sense that, as I said, the Arab world, they are closeted. It doesn't mean there are no LGBT persons there. They are there, but they live in the closet. And so they end up, they don't want to touch, because the Sharia, the Arab world is controlled by Sharia law, which does not allow homosexuality. Or on paper, it bans homosexuality, but actually, it is what is happening amongst the people. So they do that because they want to preserve the religion. And the same in Africa. Most cultures don't allow it because they want to preserve the culture. But the West is a liberal society, and also Asia is becoming liberal because they value human rights, and because basically you cannot be a country that has a law that is interpreted in a cryptic manner, reverse legislation. You're just telling people, we ban it, but we know we are doing it. That's what used to happen in the Arab world. They used to have harems. They used to have everything. That was their system. And yet, you'd go to the Quran. But of course, the Quran doesn't ban harems or prostitution like the way the Bible does. So when you find a country that bans prostitution, 80% or 90% that country is Christian or had a Christian foundation, and not necessarily an Islamic one, because Islam does not ban. At least in my reading of the Quran, I've really looked for the banning of prostitution. I didn't find any, and no wonder they even had harems where they can entertain themselves sexually. So, but what I'm trying to say is that the world should develop a a legal framework that is open and accepts science. Of course, as I've told you, the Arab world and Africa, they are really having a problem accepting that, because they want to preserve their cultures and they want to keep these things underground. They like hiding the sexual different people in their societies. Like I said one time, intersex children in some African communities were killed. And it's understandable, sadly. It is understandable, sadly, that they were killed, because when somebody sees a baby and doesn't know, and sees a vagina, or sees a weird penis, or sees a child with two vagina and a penis, they will be, oh my God, I don't want to see, what is this? They don't, because majority of the children born don't have that. They are normal, they have the penis and the vagina. But when they see this, they get shocked. So it is probable they used to kill the children when they were found to be intersex. Yes, that's what happens. It happened in Africa, but now, thanks to science and education, people are beginning to understand that intersex people exist. All right, guys. That was our scientific study of heterosexuality, homosexuality, and sexual diversity. Know where you belong and be happy about it. Some people are not happy about the fact that they are homosexual or heterosexual or bisexual or having XO or having quadruple X or having XYY. But guess what? That's who you are. Try and navigate the world. Try and live in the world despite that hatred that people may have towards you, and you'll be fine. It's the world we live in. All right, guys. Thank you so much.